I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. 2020 Mercedes-AMG C63S
Coupe with launch control. Bit of a violent launch.
Horsepower and dirt.
503 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque from a handcrafted 4-liter twin-turbo V8.
So you said twin turbo, but it says bi-turbo on the side.
Okay, so bi-turbo and twin-turbo literally mean two turbos. They mean the same thing, but what people are trying to say is that bi-turbo means that there's two turbos that are the same size that are going to two different cylinder banks, and it's not sequential turbos that are slightly different sizes. Anyways, this has two turbos.
And now that we're over 1 million subscribers, if you like what you're watching, consider subscribing because, 2 million subscribers is out there too.
2 thumbs, 2 millions.
4 millions. So one little boot into cliche corner and then let's get into the looks.
All right, how does this handle, Yuri? Little slidey.
Little slidey. Just what I wanted out of a Mercedes that's not all-wheel drive.
And we do have an electronically controlled limited slip differential as well.
And a bunch of other cool things like a traction control knob, but let's start with the looks.
Okay, it's obviously a coupe, and I know this is your favorite version of this car.
Yes, because the 2 doors look amazing, the 4 doors kind of look meh, and this is a wide body because you see a ton of C43s out there, and you know they're not the good one because they don't have the big arches like up front.
And I really like the sedans, but in this generation, I think the coupe just looks that much better.
So at the front, we've got the Panamericana grille.
Yes, which looks fantastic.
And then we've got the old style headlights, which look good.
Yeah, I really like the way these older style headlights look on these types of cars. I think the newer generation stuff looks better on the SUVs.
And then we've got huge intakes up at the front, and then the grille has huge openings everywhere. And then we got a cool splitter at the bottom, which I think looks a little different than previous years.
And even from the front, you can see how wide the front fenders are. It looks so aggressive from the front.
And then moving on to the side, I think we've got like the best coupe look, except for that we do have B-pillars.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I really like the overall shape of this car.
And it's super cool in this like dark flat black.
Yeah, it's called like Designo Magno something or other.
Mercedes kills it with the flat color.
They really do. This thing looks so aggressive in this color.
And the body lines pop a lot, and this has some like crazy body lines. Everything pops way different than it would be if it was a gloss black car.
And I really like how on the front fenders, it's indented where the bi-turbo V8 sign is. Looks cool.
That's pretty cool. I guess you can't like badge delete that or it looks kind of weird.
Well, the only other thing you can do is actually have like a real vent there, but the indent is a very good way around that.
Okay, and then the wheels.
Love them. Absolutely love them.
But they feel a little small from certain angles.
Yeah, I know what you mean, like especially around the back end.
But the style is like really, really good. And what is the Continental recommended tire for the C63S AMG?
The Conti Sport Contact 5P.
So now moving on to the back end, we have a nice big spoiler on there. Not like big, but big for the car.
Yeah, exactly. It's very appropriate for this type of car, but it's bigger than I would expect for this type of car.
And then looking down at the bottom, we've got the quad square exhaust tips, but
they're obviously fake. You can see through them, and they're like extra fake on this one.
They
like,
didn't even try.
There's nothing's even aligned behind it.
And then what's cool between the exhaust tips, we've got this cool diffuser splitter thing at the bottom that looks kind of like the AMG GTR from this year.
Yeah, and I think even the AMG GT 4-door as well.
I think it's cool. It looks very aggressive.
Yeah, and then on the sides, we do have the most fake vents that they're not hiding that they're definitely fake.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what's that?
But that's what gives it the wide body look, just like it does on the AMG GTC and the GTR.
Yeah, I don't mind the looks one bit. I love everything about this. I think they spec'd it out perfectly. However, there was that one time we drove the white ones at the AMG Performance Tour, and I always feel like I picture myself in a white one. I think that looks better.
The matte white ones look pretty cool too. But yeah, no, I like this like Batman kind of spec.
Yeah, whoever spec'd this killed it.
And moving on into the interior, it actually has a lot of weird generation stuff because it's kind of like the AMG GTR where they updated the look of everything but kept the older style infotainment with the newer style gauges.
Yeah, so again, it is a sweet spot Mercedes infotainment. We've got the rotary wheel, which is becoming extinct. We can't touch the screen, but we don't really have to. It does have Apple CarPlay that's full widescreen. Does have Android Auto, rewinding satellite radio stations, tune mix, and track pace that's built in through here.
But it's all a little bit laggy because it's a generation back.
But I feel like it's more well laid out and easier to use, so I wouldn't mind the lagginess compared to the newer infotainment stuff.
Yeah, and then our gauges have the nice cool Super Sport style gauges. I really like these gauges.
Yeah, pretty much a carbon copy of the GTR video we did, so watch that review. It was really fun, and we explained how we can slide it with the traction control knob.
Yeah, which I'll get into a little bit later.
And then as for the rest of the interior, pretty much textbook Mercedes-AMG. We've got the buttons on the steering wheel to control your modes, control your exhaust, whatever you want in there. And then we've got nice materials again, not much cool ambient lighting in here because this is a C and not an E, and E is kind of like the sweet spot for the colors.
But I do love all the carbon fiber in here. It's laid out very well, like you said. We do have heated and cooled seats. No massages, but it is a C-Class, so I get it.
We got the Alcantara steering wheel, which is really nice. And then we've got this nice lighter material on the side, which I think helps the interior pop for a black interior.
These are the optional performance seats, and they are very well bolstered and super comfortable.
Yeah, I love them, nice and firm. And then the back seats, I actually fit there 5'8.5", like perfectly.
Yeah, and I don't really fit back there at 6'1.5".
But like, kind of shocking how much room there is back there for a C Coupe.
Yeah, it's almost like better than the S-Class Coupe from what I remember.
Better than an E convertible, 100%.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know how they did that.
And to end off things in the interior, we do have this nice sunroof, which is huge, and I absolutely love sunroofs.
And we should really end off the interior with the visor test.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yes! Wow, yes! Good job.
Whew. All right.
And when I said really end it off, I forgot about the cup as well.
Does it fit?
Yes, it does.
It always fits. One more send, then your turn.
Perfect. Yes. That sounds good.
Full traction off, launch control.
Let's see what happens. Very exciting.
It looked a lot squirrelier and more fun.
Yeah, way more fun. So if you do have the traction on, perfectly prepped surface, you can do 0 to 100 kilometers in 3.9 seconds, which is pretty damn fast.
Okay, but what if you have traction all the way off? What's the first thing that happens?
So just like the AMG GTR, we had 9 levels of traction, but we had a bright yellow knob. In this car, if you turn off the traction by holding the button, you actually get your own separate knob, which is the steering wheel knob. So it lights up just like it did on the AMG GTR.
Very, very cool.
And then you can also see it in your gauge clusters, so that's how you adjust your traction control. So it's super cool to have those 9 levels of traction. However, if you watch our AMG GTR review, you know that the 9 levels are kind of excessive and you really just need 1 or 2.
Yeah, but I feel like in this one, I had it at like 8 instead of 9, and it still lets you go a little more. Like, I feel like this is more playful and that's more race car. So like, if you wanted to use it as a drift control, this would probably work better than the GTR.
Probably, and then on top of that, we also drove the GLC 63S recently, and that bogged down a lot more. This doesn't bog down as much, and it makes sense because this is not an SUV, this is a sports car.
Okay, so if you're not launching and you want to have fun, rear-wheel drive is the best wheel drive.
Yes,
for AMGs.
Most fun.
For AMGs.
Not the fastest way.
Just the best.
Yes.
Overall.
Yeah. Well, the E63S launch is pretty sick.
No, just for launches.
Okay.
Launches, all-wheel drive is better. Everything else, rear-wheel drive is better. Mercedes.
Yes.
Unless you get an E63S wagon and you can go rear-wheel drive.
Exactly. Yeah. In drift mode.
It's the wagon. It wins again.
All right, now I'm going to rip it into cliche corner, downshift, and yeah, the back end just wants to go out. I know exactly what it's going to do. It's very controllable, very predictable. The steering feels incredible, and I'm going to floor it around here. Yep.
You getting those M2 competition vibes where you know exactly what the car is going to do?
The comfort level of myself with the car, yeah. Yes. I know exactly what it's going to do.
Like some cars you're like, oh, this is sketchy, but that was fine. Like, okay, Hellcat Red Eye. A little sketchy, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I knew exactly what it was going to do. Lexus GSF, I knew exactly what it was going to do.
Corvette Z06.
Didn't know anything. Deadly.
Yeah, that's kind of like the range.
Pretty much. And going through cliche corner in race mode was amazing. Like, the suspension is firm, but it's not overly firm.
Yeah, between comfort and race, every mode is very drivable and livable.
Yeah, like I would actually daily this in comfort mode with the suspension, but race mode for everything else. But then if I wanted to send it, I just put it straight into race mode for everything.
And I still didn't find it as stiff as that Nismo 370Z.
No, it's really not. And like Mercedes is always stiffer than BMW suspension, but this is not that bad at all.
And considering daily driving, this does have all the lane keep assist stuff and radar cruise.
Yeah, and it works really well. I don't think it's quite as good as BMW's new system and Maserati's new system that we used recently.
Yes, Maserati, #1 in the game.
Crazy. And when you do want to send it, you do have that electronically controlled limited slip differential on the back, and that's what gives you that confidence to just send it in everything and you know what the car's going to do. It just gives you that ultimate control.
Yes, the predictability factor.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that you don't get from a spec sheet. Like, you can say like horsepower, like sure, 503 horsepower, that's a lot, but how does it drive? You don't get that predictability factor out of certain cars. Like
the predictability factor is higher on this than the AMG GTR.
Exactly. Like, I know exactly what this is going to do. The AMG GTR, I feel like I have to rotate it a lot more because it's longer, so it's a little sketchier to drive.
It's got to be a little more forgiving for me to slide that one.
Yeah. And this does have the multi-play clutch 9-speed, exactly the same drivetrain engine that we had in the GLC 63S, except it's not all-wheel drive.
Okay. But sound compared to the GLC 63S.
It's totally different.
So the sound, floor it for me.
Pretty good. No crackles and pops.
Yeah, it's like hard to get that like funness out of it, but this feels like it's like a drier, more raw sound.
Yeah, so if I were to do the same thing that I did in the GLC, like I'll floor it right now. It's not really crackling like it did.
Now, even from a distance, like it's really not as loud as a lot of other cars.
Let's listen to it from the outside. And the C63S Coupe is the one that I would expect to be the loudest and like the most obnoxious.
Yeah, but in actuality, the most obnoxious and loudest is the GLS 63.
Yeah.
Anyways, maybe work on that Mercedes, maybe don't, I don't know.
But it does sound really good. We still do have that handcrafted V8, so I do like that. And this may be the last generation of the V8. There's rumors of like a hybrid 4-cylinder for next year. Hopefully that doesn't actually happen. I think they're gonna keep the V8.
Honestly, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Who's gonna handcraft the batteries on the hybrid V8s?
Okay.
Or hybrid 4-cylinders?
Yeah, I wrap the brushless motors myself.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing I want to wonder about. You know how everyone's complaining that there's no manuals anymore?
Yes.
Okay, do you think people complained when there was like no more 3 on the tree?
For sure they did.
The article writers were hitting up their typewriters and they're like, I like to shift with my hand on the steering wheel right next to the column.
Dude, we still have column shifters on some of the trucks.
But they're not like 3
I know.
on the tree. You know, you don't have to like clutch that.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Ford had to give you a shifter because people were so mad at like the Ram little dial thing that they have to hide it in the next generation.
Yeah.
People are going to be upset.
This is going to be really weird in 10 years, 20 years.
5 years. But back to that transmission, it does shift very quickly as it did in basically every other car that has this, like downshift, send, love it.
But in full automatic mode, like it's not as fast as Porsches.
No, it's really not. Like PDK is the gold standard, except Lambos.
It's not lightning / thunder.
No.
It's
step below.
Yeah.
Step below Zeus, step below lightning.
Hurricane.
And talking about drive modes, just like every other 63 AMG, we have slippery, individual, comfort, sport, sport plus, and race. And in America, you can get this in a non-S model, but in Canada, it only comes in S models, which means we have race mode and launch control.
So you're saying America can have a C63 and it's not going to have launch control or race mode?
Yes.
That's kind of messed up.
It is kind of messed up.
I feel like that's like 43 territory.
Exactly.
But I guess Canada's pretty good about like only giving us the top trims and like fully loaded like good packages because we have so many less people. We can't afford to like divvy up the options.
Yeah, and we even have the GLC 63S in the good roof form, the one that I like.
But then it also leaves Canada with crappy options, like we can't get a Kia Stinger in only rear-wheel drive because they're like, Canadians need to have all-wheel drive for the snow.
Yeah, because nobody survived before that.
Yeah, I don't even think they had snow tires back in the day.
No, they didn't.
Just run your Buick Skylark off like a farm road up to Montreal from Toronto and like don't worry about it.
Pretty much.
So with all that out of the way, we finally got to drive it. What is the price for the C63S?
Well, it starts at a lot of money and it finishes at a lot of money. $86,200 to start.
Canadian.
And this one is $110,450.
Okay, it's a lot, but it is a really cool car and I kind of expect it to be there.
And this is a pretty wild spec. It's missing the carbon ceramic brakes. Other than that, it's almost fully loaded.
Okay, and even without the carbon ceramic brakes, when you're reversing and hitting the brakes, I think squeals for some reason.
Yeah, the brakes look cool, but yeah, I've heard them squeal.
Okay, so what is the competition for this?
This would be like the BMW M4, the Lexus RCF, and kind of the Lexus LC500 when it's optioned out to this price point, and the Audi RS5.
And of all those, the Audi RS5 is the only one that is all-wheel drive.
Yes, and it's probably the most boring to drive because of that. Not that it's boring to drive, but in comparison to the other cars.
And we know you've been asking us for like 4 years since we started the channel to drive the LC500 and the RCF. We're working on it, but from what I imagine it is like, compared to the GSF we drove, 5-liter naturally aspirated V8.
Same engine.
It would probably be as fun, if not more fun, than this.
And I think the RCF and especially the LC500 look way better than this. And I'm only saying the LC500 because of where this is optioned to.
Okay, and then they probably sound better too, to be honest.
Yeah, naturally aspirated 5-liter V8.
But the M4 sounded really good. I really enjoyed my time with that, and that one does come in a manual where the rest don't.
Yeah, and that also comes as a hardtop convertible, which this doesn't. This is a soft top.
Thank God, hardtop convertibles are ugly.
Hardtop's the best.
So of all those options, which one are you taking?
LC500, and I'm going with my imagination because I have no idea how it drives.
I'm on the fence over everything. I think I would need to pick according to what mood I'm in that day. I also would need to drive the RCF and the LC500 first, because I'm not sure. But from what I imagine, they're all kind of a tie.
So let us know where you guys would rank all of those cars. It's pretty hard to actually rank these.
And check out this playlist of more fun coupes.
Downshift, downshift.